So Kelly, can you tell me for you, when would you say you maybe started embarking on your own like spiritual journey? What did that look like for you where you really began to question more about like who am I? Why am I here? Would you share that?
Yeah. So I think that question, there's kind of like a long answer from years of build up to that. And then there's probably the more recent, like deep dive into my spiritual path.
Yeah.
I have managed depression since I was in middle school. And throughout all of the years that I've been managing that, when I was still back in corporate, I was grinding it out, I was going to school, I was doing all of those things. Every time I had some of my biggest episodes, it always led me to this path of, but I know I'm here and I'm meant for more.
Mm.
And so for me, when I think about my depression, it was just always such a big unalignment. And at the time, I didn't know the language and I didn't know all of the things. And as I reflect now, I was like, oh, I'm not in alignment. I am searching for this deeper yearning because I know that I'm not just supposed to be here to live this life. I'm
Yes.
supposed to live something extraordinary. And one of my biggest episodes that I had, I was still working in corporate and talking about scarcity. I was at the peak of my career. I was making multiple six figures. I was marrying the love of my life. I had a Mercedes. I was buying my third investment property. Like I had all of these external things that on paper people would be like, oh my gosh, her life is perfect. It's amazing. And internally, I was still so empty.
Mm.
And I was sacrificing my mental health. I was sacrificing everything that I knew to be true about myself for this job. I
Mm.
was burnt out. I was underpaid, undervalued, all of the things which I'm sure so many people can relate to.
Yes.
And I remember finding myself in bed, absolutely bawling for hours and hours. I could not control it. Like I physically could not stop crying. And I remember my husband came in worried. He didn't know what to do, how to help, but he was scared. He was concerned.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I remember I had to take radical responsibility for my life. I could no longer be a victim to all of my circumstances, all of the abuse, all of the trauma, all of the things beforehand. And I asked for help. I got professional help. I went to see a therapist, and me and my husband have been together for a long time. And even at this point, we had been together for a while. But it was the first time I actually opened up and let him see just a little piece of who I really was because I hid it for so long.
Yeah.
And I started kind of going to therapy. It's like a, what is it? CBT
Oh,
talk therapy.
yep.
So like a very traditional kind of form of therapy that a lot of us know.
Yep.
And I I've always been kind of like woo woo. Like I'm an Aquarius, so at heart, like I'm just kind of woo. I'm a humanitarian. I want to change the world. I want to do all the
Yeah.
things. I was a kid.
Remind me, Kelly, are you your sun sign Aquarius? Are you also moon Aquarius?
I'm a sun sign Aquarius, moon and rising both Gemini.
Oh, okay. 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 I love
So
it.
lots of air, lots of
Yeah.
complexities in this
Yeah.
brain.
Love it. Love it.
And, I was like the kid that picked up rocks on walks. Like I loved crystals before I even knew that they were crystals. And so I've always had this fascination with psychics.
Mm.
My grandmother saw a psychic like forever ago. My grandma's 92 years old. She saw a psychic so long ago, and the psychic basically predicted her entire life. So I've always had this fascination and I've always wanted to like call one in, but I also know, to be honest, there's some people that call themselves as psychics and they're practicing more dark magic or they're just manipulative.
Yes. And they ultimately, right, they haven't healed their own inner shit. So unfortunately, they're like projecting that outward into the world. It's like, that's not really what I want to be around. Yeah.
1000%. And then I also know that there's other women that are just they have been touched by God's source with this incredible ability. And so I was calling that version in and essentially found a woman and we had a girls' night. We thought it would be this fun girls' night, bring the psychic in, have little snackies, get the girls together.
I love
And
this.
Maria, when I tell you, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yes.
When she came in and rocked our fucking world and turned it upside down, it was the most
Cheers.
so many tears.